And welcome into the Running with James podcast. My name is James Wyatt. I am the owner, operator, founder of BC Fitness, the premier hybrid OCR functional fitness facility in Houston, Texas, Northwest Pacific in the Champions area. And if you're wondering what BC stands for, we're all about building champions. That's what we do. That's who we are. And at this podcast, that is what our goal each and every day is as we come in with these new episodes, we want to build champions. We want to build one another up because we are better together than we ever were apart. And we're joined today, as usual, with our guests, co-hosts, executives of all things production and co-hosting, Rocky, Adrian Gonzalez.
Whoa. Woo, woo, woo,
and Lauren.
Bow wow.
Are you the Lauren dog now?
No, I just felt like I had to follow
Lure
up.
dog?
No.
L-Dog.
L dog?
No. Let's not do that.
The big LD?
You always give such an elaborate, introduction.
It's elaborate?
I think so. It's a whole resume. Actually, I want to ask, are we guests if we're here every week? Are we still considered guests?
You're my guests.
Oh,
Because this
I thought we were
this
permanent
is like
fixtures.
my home. So you're a guest in my home.
I thought we were permanent fixtures. I'm pretty sure my booty increase is now in this couch.
Yeah. I mean, you're co-host. I said that.
You did.
Executive
You did.
production. Right? But when we're together, I like to think of you guys as my guests, which is why I try to always prefer y'all. I always try to make sure you got everything you need, all the tools and things that you need. So, because I think of you as my guests,
That's very sweet.
which is why I give so much.
Thank you
And
so much for-
I allow you to take so much of me. Rocky, he's been.
Don't say it.
Oh, were you going to say something about...
The teat.
I actually wasn't, but
All right, cool.
since you brought it up, he has been suckling at my teeth and just taking it all.
He's been saying that a lot lately.
suckling at his teat?
Because
Yes.
he's been like everything I do. He's just right there, let me get some. Let me get that. I'm a kitty
There's,
cat.
I actually did a better reference than that.
What?
Parasite. It sounds bad, but Parasite from Superman. The comic.
Yes. That's actually what you said on Tuesday.
Yeah.
He said I'm
Parasite.
Parasite from Superman.
Yeah.
I guess I don't watch enough DC to know what Parasite is.
So he's a villain who literally just sucks the power.
He can he gets his powers by taking powers from other people.
Yeah.
Like the bad version of Rogue.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
Like that, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a temporary thing, kind of like
Yeah.
Rogue as well. But he always wants Superman because obviously
You got super
Superman's got the best powers.
See, DC,
Right.
Marvel right here.
But what he does also is when he drains you, you lose your powers, right? You lose your
like
ability.
permanently?
No, just
No.
for a short
Well,
amount of time.
temporary
Okay.
as well.
Temporary type
Okay.
thing, right? So that's what I had to remind him is he's draining me, but it's just a temporary thing, right? So, and luckily, much like Superman, I have more than enough to go around.
Funny.
Yeah. You laughed, so it was funny.
Yeah, it was.
It was. I know. It was good stuff.
I think I prefer the idea of Parasite versus the imagery of suckling at the teat.
Yes, same.
Yeah, but I like that image because that's why you laughed. That
Why
one, you
you
really
like
laughed
that?
hard on that one. Why did you laugh hard on that
Because
one?
you said you like the imagery
Yeah.
of the suckling at the teat, and we're both like,
Well, I don't want to be inappropriate, but I'm a big fan
we know.
of those particular things, and
That's
it's like-
James's favorite body
it's
part
like-
on women.
like nourishment, right? When you're a baby, that is where it is scientifically proven babies are healthier, stronger, they grow quicker. Positive thing happen for women. Hormones are reduced, right? It's easier for them to lose weight. They usually go back to whatever, right? So it's a very beneficial thing for both the.
Are you having a really hard time keeping a straight face while you're saying this?
I was gonna say the sucker and the sucky. I don't know why that's so funny to me. That's so stupid. I'm an idiot. Anyway,
I'm gonna get a shirt that says the sucker and the sucky for both of
but it's
you.
beneficial for both to an extent. But it can at certain points cause the one providing the nutrition.
Actually, we're gonna get that shirt made for Seti and Nyla.
That'd be perfect. Yeah.
I don't know. So here's the problem. So have y'all heard of colostrum?
Yeah,
Right.
we know you love colostrum.
And
That's
it's a supplement you can actually
can
take.
get the
There's
powder.
a nickname for it. It's like liquid
Golden
gold.
milk
Liquid
or
gold.
liquid
Yeah.
gold. That's what it is.
But colostrum is what's in
Yeah, breast
breast
milk.
milk,
Yeah.
whatever, that provides a lot of the nutrients and the microbiomes and all that stuff for digestion and everything, and helps also create, the like some of the antibodies and stuff, so it helps boost your immune system and stuff. So there's like a big thing right now going on that like colostrum is a
You can buy
very
colostrum.
beneficial thing, right? So I've been trying it out for like the last 6 months.
Do you like it?
Have
you noticed a difference?
I 100% don't even know if it works or not.
You can't tell a difference?
I don't know. I don't know if I tell a difference or not. Like,
Really?
like I did run out of it one time, and like I immediately got sick like a couple weeks later, like because it was like kind of cold season. People around me
Sure.
were getting sick, so like I don't know. Did I get sick because I wasn't taking it, or was I just gonna get sick anyway? Right?
Yeah, it's hard
So
to tell.
It was just like one of those weird things. But like, I tend to not feel like I'm getting as sick as often when I take it. Like, so I feel like it boosts my immune system, and I feel like it maybe does help my digestive system. I don't know. Honestly, I don't feel as bloated. Maybe. I don't know.
I
don't
actually,
know.
so that was one
I
of
don't know
the.
if it's like a, what do you call it?
Oh, placebo.
Yeah.
Placebo. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot about colostrum. I knew what it was, but I didn't realize it was becoming such like a trendy thing to start taking for
Yeah,
people.
well, it's like powdered, basically.
Yeah,
it's
you
like
just buy
dried.
powder. There's
And
a-
it's from cow's milk.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't
So
know.
I wonder if like maybe I could get the hookup.
From who?
But,
From who?
I mean,
Are you gonna start buying black market titty milk?
okay, we don't have to say it like that.
I actually was thinking about going into business for that.
Yeah, I should have when I had access. I had always talked about it just being dumb and joking with my wife and whatever. And then at one point, I had access and I never tried it.
I really so that actually makes me think about that.
I was always scared.
I don't think you ever. Were you ever watch Friends?
Yeah.
You did? Did you see the episode where they were all trying his ex-wife's breast milk, and they were all for everyone but Ross, and he was like freaking out. It always makes me think of it because I'm always like, I've
Yeah.
always been like real freaked
There were a
out
couple
by
times
it.
I almost did, but like I just couldn't bring myself to do it, and I don't know why. Like, I mean,
we
I was
drink-
a big fan of it when I
Did
was
you
a
try?
child.
Have you tried it?
No comment.
That's a yes.
We got family who listens to this.
I mean, you-
I'm not gonna,
He's not trying to get like.
I'm not
kicked
gonna
out.
say anything.
Get like ostracized.
Anytime someone says no comment, you know what it means. So
Yeah, I haven't tried it.
okay, lie.
Yeah, I get it.
He
So, I
hasn't-
mean, I don't know. I just
He
don't,
hasn't tried it.
I don't know. But my daughter seemed to really enjoy it.
My daughter
She really
loves
liked it.
Yeah, she really liked it. Like, yeah, it was a long time. It was a really long. Like, it was a long time. I was like, girl, it's time to let's get some food. Let's get some food eating. And she would not settle for anything but the real thing.
My niece is like
we
that.
couldn't do a bottle. We bought like all these fancy like nipples and all these other things to like try to get her on a bottle.
She wanted it on the legit.
And she only wanted the real
Straight
deal.
from the source.
Always if she wasn't getting it straight from the source, she wasn't about that life, bro.
I like your style. Once that pure.
Yeah, once you get the uncut.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I was afraid of is like I'd get hooked.
and then it's gonna be taken from
and
you.
then my supply was gonna like dry up or whatever.
Literally.
Oh my god.
superpowers
Why
be
are we
going.
talking about this?
I don't
What are
know,
we-
but it's really funny.
this is the dumbest thing I think we've
I
ever
think this.
talked
I
about
think this
for
might
the
be.
longest period
I
of
don't know. I
time.
think this might be my favorite intro.
So I think we can
ever.
talk about what we're going to talk about then, right? Let's
So
get
what is that,
into
Rocky?
The specificity.
Wait,
What is it?
What?
Say it again.
What?
Specificity.
Say it one more time
Well,
hey,
just a little
hey,
louder
hey,
into
hey,
the mic.
for the people in the back.
Yeah.
Specificity.
No,
Specificity.
that is not it.
Say
Spe-
specific.
Specific.
Specificity.
Specific.
You didn't say it
Specificity.
right either. You said it. You
Specificity.
added too many specificity.
No, specificity. Specificity?
Specificity.
That's what I said.
You said specificity.
I just have a very specific way of rolling my
Yeah. How many times can we say teat, specific, and
specificity.
in one freaking podcast?
We'll find out. Start the timer and go.
My God.
Specificity training / periodization training.
Okay.
Was
So
there-
are those the same thing or two different things?
I believe they're two different things.
Are they? What would you? How would you?
No.
How would you like define specificity training or specific training?
Okay, specific training. So I'm going to train for a 5K. So I'm going to do that. So my 5K is going to be on the road. It's going to be a road race,
Okay.
5K. I'm
Yep.
going to train on concrete,
Okay.
on the road. I'm going to jog,
Okay.
and I'm going to do this jogging.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to slowly build up till I get to this 5K pace. I'm not going to run more than a 5K at that.
Okay.
But I'm training specifically for, see, I said it right.
Well, specifically is not the same as specificity.
Yeah, but I'm training for this race. Or like if I'm going to do a high rocks competition, I'm going to practice doing sled push. I'm going to practice doing sled pull,
Okay.
rower. I'm not going to do pull up. Well, I'll do pull ups, but not gonna focus on pull-ups. I'm gonna actually pull this actual skier instead of doing stuff to train for that.
Okay. So what's periodization training then? How would you define that?
Periodization training, I guess, is more like switching it up. So for a period of time, I'm gonna be doing this. See, that's where I lost. That's where I'm lost at. It's periodization training. I kind of get the specificity training. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna say the word again no more.
Poor Rocky.
Yeah.
Poor Rocky.
Lauren, what's periodization training? Educate your boy.
Educate me.
Educate your boy.
Educating. Do you want me to give you the actual definition?
Oh,
Or like
she's
my
got her phone
version?
up. I thought you were gonna.
Dang, I went off the dome, guys. Just to let y'all
Well,
know.
no, I looked up the actual one because I was like, if I butcher this, I'm gonna feel like a real silly butt,
Like a boob.
like a real
Or
boob.
rube.
A boob.
A rube.
A real. What's a rube?
I think a rube is the actual word we're looking for.
Yeah, I think it's the actual word.
Yeah.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Anyway, and I'm probably wrong because I'm not looking at my phone's definition. Periodization training, it's going to be for certain durations of time. You're specifically dedicating your training to certain loads, certain like repetitions, and certain functions for an event, right? No?
Periodization training is the planned manipulation of training variables, loads, sets, repetitions, in order to maximize training adaptations and
Adaptations.
adaptations. Dang, James.
What did you say? Adaptions?
And to prevent public school. And to
no,
prevent
you can't do
the
that one.
onset of overtraining syndrome.
Nice.
I wasn't too far
So
off.
overtraining syndrome, this is a real side topic. There was a guy for that football for the Texans linebacker a while back who tested positive for
Brian
HGH.
Christian?
Yeah.
For what?
Fishing? Yeah.
Yeah. He tested positive like steroid use.
Oh, okay.
He blamed it on overtraining.
He did. He overtrained so much that like
He had to do steroids?
his body
No, he
created
created it.
so much
Oh.
testosterone.
Yeah.
That
Is that possible?
I don't know what the heck he's talking about.
Okay.
That dude was doing drugs.
He was definitely. But imagine that. Like, it's because I trained way too hard.
Yeah, I just work out so hard, guys,
Yeah.
and so I just
There's no way to steroids.
yeah. This is how I do. I overtrain.
Yep.
Therefore, I am. Yeah, that's dumb. So, in periodization training, there is going to be
My phone is gross.
specificity, right? Because for a period of time, you're going to train for a specific thing, right? So, specificity obviously is more like dialed
Focus.
in for a particular event
Yeah.
or whatever, whereas periodization includes particular movements or exercises or whatever for a certain period of time, right?
So we've talked about it. So like when I go and get ready to do for like an OCR event,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be training the same movements. I'm training for high rocks.
Right.
Very
Where-
different modalities.
Right. So there's probably going to be things, or not probably, there are things for certain people, right? No matter what you do. So, like, let's say you're a runner, okay? And let's say your big race of the year is a marathon, okay? But you may race a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, or you may go do a trail race or something like that. Well, as you're getting closer to whatever that particular race is, then, to perform your best, then you would specifically train for that event, right? So you'd run faster paces, or you do your speed work that's closer to like 5K speed work or 10K, whatever the race is. Or if you're going to run a trail race, you're going to spend some time running on the trails, right? To adapt, to create those adaptations for your muscles, your joints, your bones, whatever. So you're doing specific things to prepare for that one event. And so, whatever the discipline or whatever it is that you're doing, for us as an athlete, and this is what I like, what I think is so great about periodization training as an athlete is if you have certain things that you always do and you keep a certain level of fitness, well then as a particular event approaches, you can train specifically for that event. Okay? So if you commit to being a marathon runner, which like we talked about these guys breaking records and stuff, that's their one goal.
Yeah.
Their one goal is to go out and run fast marathons.
They're not pushing weight.
Right. So everything that they're practicing, everything they're doing, any strength training they do, weight training, any easy runs they do, whatever, their speed efforts, they're all wrapped around running a particular pace for the marathon, right? That's their
There's a goal
that's
set
their
for
goal,
it, yeah.
right? So everything they do is ramping up for that one event. For, there's guys who run, 5K, 10K, right? And track and field and stuff. Those are two very similar events. So whether they're in the 5,000 or the 10,000 meters, they're doing their training is committed to those things, right? Those are usually only one or two events they commit to, right? So the guys who do 100 meters, right? Most guys are 100-meter specialists. They may also do the 200 meters, but that's usually it. Right? They don't go any further than that, right? There's guys who are like 400-meter specialists that might do a 200 meters, but that's kind of the extent of what they do, right? So they're trying to dial in on those things. Well, for like a hybrid athlete, right, or for CrossFit athletes, or for athletes like us, right, we focus our training to get a base level of whatever aerobic capacity. We work on constantly developing strength, but as particular events approach, we do periodization training for 8 weeks.
8 weeks. I was about to say that's what we do right now, High Rocks.
Usually it's 4 to 8 weeks, right, where we really dial in for that one event. And so you're constantly building fitness, but you're really honing in your abilities to really get the best overall effort out of that one event. Right? So, there's something to be said for that, because I think overall, like for our goal oftentimes is to be the best athletes we can be.
Yeah.
Right? And so to be the best athlete you can be, well, you have to have aerobic fitness,
Yes.
right? You have to have a high lactate threshold or threshold tolerance. You need to have a certain level of strength,
Yep.
right? And then you also need to have a decent strength to weight ratio. So in other words, being able to like move your own
Manipulate
body weight,
weight.
your own body weight, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you think about that. That's several different disciplines,
Yep.
right? And I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were talking about triathlon, and a buddy there was training. He's training for one guy is training for an ultra, and the other guy is training for a triathlon for like Ironman, right? Well, the ultra that he's training for, I think, is 60 miles, right? So it's 100K, 62 miles, whatever. And the other guy is training for like a half Ironman. And so they were kind of comparing their training. And so the guy running the ultra is like, yeah, I usually train, maybe 7 to 10 hours a week, right, to get ready for his ultra. And the half Ironman guy is training like 13, 14 hours a week. Why do you think that is?
Three
Because he's
different
gotta-
disciplines.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So one guy's just running.
Yeah.
The other guy's gonna do
Right.
swimming, running, biking.
Right? So, there's, and they have to commit quite a bit of time to each one of those each and every week, because they're, pretty decent distances.
I would say you don't want to get to the swim and then like suddenly realize you can't swim well.
Right, right.
And then transitions as well. That swim might suck, but you also got to get it together, get on that
Get
bike.
on that bike.
Yeah.
I'll take the bike and the run any day. I'm just terrible at swimming.
Yeah. So, so that's the thing is that, with like being an athlete that expands many functional types of movements, you've got to spend time doing a little bit of everything, right? So, like you said, for OCR, you got the OCR World Championships like this weekend or whatever, is the Spartan weekend or whatever in Granbury or what
Yeah.
have you. So there's been a lot of people we've been coaching that are going to be out there racing. So they've, for the last couple months, they've been focusing the majority of their energy on like doing obstacle work, running on the
Trails.
trails, getting their mileage up, because
Yep.
they're either running the Beast or the Super, which is like half marathon to 10K. With a bunch of obstacles and a bunch of elevation, right? So they're training specifically to do those events.
And then a lot of those people are going to be turning around and doing high rocks 3-4 weeks later. 3 weeks later, I guess.
No, a month later, yeah. 4
Month
weeks later,
later, yeah.
Because we're 5 weeks out, yeah. So that means what are they going to do?
They got to switch it up.
They're going to switch it up.
I mean,
and
they've
start
kind of been training. I mean, you've been training them, so they've kind of been doing both. But I'm guessing the closer we got to the Beast, they've been kind of switching over to that primarily.
So usually when it comes to periodization training, here's what I usually make the suggestion of is if you have an event, you usually pick every year like 1, maybe 2 A races, right? So those are the races that are like you're focused on. So all of your training is building toward that one event, okay, or those 2 events, right? Those 2 big events. Everything else needs to kind of line up with those and kind of like
lead you to them.
kind of lead or accentuate those events,
Yeah.
right? And as you approach those, you can do specific training to get better and do have your best performance. But like there are certain events, and so this is what has been challenging, I think, for many of our folks, particularly this chick right here, is like they're trying to train for events that have nothing to do with each other.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're
Yeah,
like trying
right.
to do an ultra, but then you want to do high rocks. Those 2 events are
So
so
opposite end of the end of the
far
spectrum.
apart for like the energy systems that you're going to be utilizing.
Yeah.
That it's really hard to train both of those. Even with periodization training, it's hard to be specific in your training because those are two different disciplines, right? So what you need to hone and what you need to be really good at for one thing, it's not like it's not going to help you, but it's not the thing that's going to benefit you the most. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, also like with the overtraining syndrome. I'm not going to say his name because he wants to be called out. Mike, like he's getting like fed up to where right now he's feel like it's not going hard enough for him. And so are these workouts we're doing periodization when it comes to this high wire classes. How do you remind yourself like there's a bigger goal in the end? Like don't overtrain right now. Don't worry if it's not hard enough.
Yeah.
As of saying right now, like trust the process.
Right.
So
Like, what's the advice? Like, to
yeah,
keep yourself
how do you say
motivated through it?
with periodization training, how are you reminding yourself, how are you going to keep reminding yourself like, look, there's more to it that's going to come, just right now, this is where you got to accept it.
Right. Well, so the big part of periodization training is simply this, is like what I always tell people is like you're building a pyramid,
Yeah.
right? So you build a foundation and you're working your way up to a peak. And so each layer of that pyramid is like a step closer to what your ultimate goal is.
Yeah.
And so usually in that first layer, in that foundation building layer, you want to work on aerobic fitness, mobility, flexibility, and strength. And so those are kind of like your foundations that everything else is built on. So if you don't have a strong aerobic base, there's only a limit to how fast you can ultimately go, right? So there's only so many paces you're going to be able to run, right? If you only have, let's say you only have 10 miles of aerobic fitness that you're operating off of. Well, if we follow the rules, right, the 80-20 principle, well, how much like strength or hard stuff can we do if we're only running 10 miles a week, right? So that means you're only able to technically do like maybe 2 miles, if that, of hard efforts, right? So if you're only able to do like 2 miles of hard efforts and you break that into time, that's what, 10 minutes, 12 minutes of hard efforts. So you're not really have a big enough base to justify any type of specific hard efforts, right? So if you're training for a marathon and you can only do 2 miles or 12 minutes of hard running, how does that translate into a marathon?
Yeah.
Right? Because you're not really training the energy system you need.
Yeah, you're not even like pushing yourself to go 26 miles.
Exactly. If you were running a 5K, okay, you're probably okay with that type of load. So understanding like what the demand is of whatever the event is gives you a concept of, okay, for this, it lets you know how long of a periodization training session do you really have to have, right? So does it need to be 8 weeks? Does it need to be 12 weeks? Does it need to be 6 months? What does that look like? And each layer kind of builds on itself. So in the beginning, one of the hardest things to do oftentimes is to convince people, build that foundation first, right? So usually I don't even like give people like hard efforts until after they get like at least a base level of 20 miles, right? Or equal time of aerobic fitness or capacity, right? So if you don't have that, the hard stuff or whatever doesn't even benefit you, in my opinion, right? So because you can't do enough of it really to justify, if you're training for say probably at least a half marathon or above, right? Probably really 10K and above. So that's kind of how I would go about like encouraging someone is you have to have a foundation, and the stronger or the bigger the foundation, then the higher the peak can be.
So what is, I'm not going to say it. Say it for me, Lauren, S word.
Specificity.
What does that training look like when it comes to like
I like that
training
as a
for a
job.
half? Like what is an example of, okay, I got 6 months to my half.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So the first thing we start out is we got to figure out what's your base level. Where are you at right now?
Yeah.
Right? Are you going from like 0 to a half marathon, or are you going from like a place of like
10K.
10, 15 miles a week, 20, whatever you're at, right? So first
Yeah.
we have to establish that, and that's going to depend on how much time we have to train, right? So for me, I'll use me as an example right now. If I wanted to train for a half marathon, at my current level of training and fitness, within 4 weeks right now, I could probably run a half marathon, right? Probably more like 6 weeks, because I would spend 4 weeks dialing in some paces and some speed work, and then 2 weeks to taper.
Actually, let's not use you because you're not a good example.
Yeah, well, I'm going to show
You're
you.
very dedicated.
But what I'm showing you, though, is the difference, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I keep a base level of mileage.
Yeah.
Like my long run right now is around 13, 14 miles, right? So someone like me with that type of load and that type of consistency, I could go and do something like a half marathon and probably do really well, right? PR maybe even, within 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, you don't do one race a year though. You stay on top of it.
Right. I'm
Yeah.
consistent, right?
Yeah.
But if you're someone who's starting from 0 and you're trying to go to a half marathon, you're probably going to need a minimum of 3 to 6 months, okay? Because you've got to build up the volume. So if I'm coaching you and you're running a half marathon, my goal is to get you to at least a 10 to 13 mile long run, okay? If you can run 10, you can definitely do 13. I would rather you do 13 because that way you're super confident. You go in with, the knowledge that you're going to be able to complete it and do it well. But if you're thinking about the golden rules that we always talk about, well, you're not supposed to increase your mileage more than 10% a week, right? So you really don't want to add more than like a mile to your long run every single week. Well, if you go from 0 to 13, how many weeks is that?
13.
It's at least, and it's really more than that because every 4th week we do a recovery week, right?
Yeah.
So it's anywhere from 13 to like 16 weeks, right? Well, that's 4 months. So that's why I say, if you're starting from 0, you need to give yourself like a good 4 to 6 months to truly properly prepare so you can get your best effort. Now, if you want to just go run it and do it, you can probably do it in 3 months or so.
Yeah, but if you're going like a PR
But
and
if
actually...
you're going to try to see what your best effort is
Yeah.
and you want to feel good doing it and you don't want to feel like you're dying, well, then I would say you need to give yourself at least a good 4 to 6 months.
Yeah, and give yourself grace as well.
Yeah, right. Don't, especially if you're new to it, right?
Manage expectations.
And some of that may differ by the person. That's why I say 4 to 6 months, because I train people sometimes the first 3 months, we're just trying to figure out how to slow down. We're just trying to teach people how not to go so fast, or we're trying to talk them off the ledge, or trying to get them to be consistent, because like the first month, they're supposed to run 3 or 4 times a week and they ran once or twice a week, right? So we're not able to progress the way we could if they were more consistent, right? So, you kind of give yourself, and it's good to kind of have that calendar, that date on the calendar, right? Because it does create that sense of urgency. But it is so weird to me. Like, people will say, okay, I'm running a marathon in January, and they say this in July. And they don't start getting serious about it until November. Well, by November, it's too late to get serious because you've missed all of your build-up period. You know what I'm saying?
Now you're trying to cram for a test that you can't cram for.
That you can't cram for, exactly.
Right.
So,
I feel like I kind of fell in that category with you in our last training plan discussion.
I'm not even sure how to respond to that. I don't know if I should say yes.
Because I kind of sprung it on him. I was like, how would you feel if I said I kind of want to run the marathon? He goes, this year? I was like, yeah.
Yeah. She does that all the time, though. That's why I want to say I don't know how to respond to that, because it's like,
That's
Nothing
an
new.
impulse decision, Lauren. Fix that.
it's that FOMO, dude.
FOMO.
It's that FOMO. She's got it like nobody's business.
I do.
I don't know if it's FOMO or like you understand that you're a great athlete and you understand that you could do it. So you're like, I'm just going to go do it because I can do it. And so like...
That's you. You're just trying to put off what you think about what you do on her.
I was
I'm
going
not
to say, I don't
projecting.
feel like I project. I don't think I give out that I am a great athlete.
No, I'm just saying you are a great athlete.
Well, I
though.
appreciate that.
Yeah, but
I'm
like...
glad somebody here.
you're the type of person
I'm
like...
sorry, I'm the only one of the two of us.
It's October. And she's like, I think I want to run a marathon.
I just assume that I'll go and have fun, and what happens after.
Go and have... That's nothing fun about starting right now and doing it in January. This is not going to be fun today.
Yeah,
Like,
but
I can
I'm-
see you doing the half.
Yeah.
I've done
I
the
think we talked about that.
half.
But you've done the marathon, too.
Not this one.
You mean the Houston Marathon that happens every year? It's happened for the last 51 years.
I didn't do it I've only done the Woodlands Marathon.
You're not missing out on anything.
the
Just go run right now in the city. It ain't missing out on
Yeah.
nothing.
You actually ran like 20 miles.
I
last
did
year.
run 20 of it last year.
So, I mean, I don't understand.
I think I'm one of those people who just what I can do is I can push through really cruddy and crappy feelings because I'm loving being in the hype of it all. So I'm I don't care if I'm in pain and I'm bleeding out the
Yeah,
ears.
but then you're also, and this, I probably shouldn't say this.
No,
Well, you're
you
going
should
to
say
beat
it
yourself
now.
afterwards that you could have did better.
To our
You should've trained
listeners
more.
out there, understand that I'm probably not talking about you particularly, but I cannot stand when people are they always take pictures of themselves after the run, and then they're talking about how great they're going to do for their race. They're so excited about the race, and they go and do the race, and then after the race, they're like, "Oh, I sucked. I wasn't ready for this event. Things didn't go the way I wanted them to go." That annoys me to no end. Especially when it's repeated non-stop, just over and over. And I'm not even talking specifically about, you're making a face.
I
I'm
know,
talking
but
about you.
I know I've done that before.
But there's a couple particular people I can think of, and I'm just dude, if it's the same thing every time, maybe you
change
should
the plan,
something so
change
that,
the
like,
approach.
Like, it's just like, I could already tell you what their post is going to say and how it's going to be long, it's going to be drawn out, it's going to be dramatic, and it's going to be,
It's gonna get a lot of likes though.
and people are going to be like,
Because-
oh, you're so brave, girl. Oh my God, you're so brave. Oh, you're the beast.
Heart
You're a
emoji,
beast.
heart
I
emoji.
I can't believe, oh my God, I can't even do that. You're so amazing.
You're
I
my
can't
hero.
even fail like you fail. I wish I could fail like you.
Hashtag girl power.
Yeah, exactly. Woman strong, right? And I'm just like, or why don't you just do what you're supposed to do?
Are we not talking about Laura? Because I feel like we are.
Be consistent, and then you can like have a post about got that PR, or I hit my goal, felt decent. It was a tough day out there on the course, but I was able to power through because I've been consistent and I've done this work. But yada yada yada.
We're not all Laura, Jessica, and Danny.
But then nobody's like nobody's like, love that woman strong. Oh girl, I feel you. It's like we celebrate people's failures. Oh, I'm sorry. Help me, Jesus. Oh,
Shout out Jessica just one time. I don't know why.
And Danny and Laura, all of them. Jessica, Danny, and Laura are very, very good at
All right,
following
back
through.
to. I'm not gonna say
But-
that word.
Back to specificity training.
Yes.
Go, Rocky.
So if I am going to train for this half, I got 6 months to plan out. So if I'm going to run a half that's on the road, of course, and it's going to be in, I guess ours is what, kind of like end of winterish, coldness.
yeah, I mean for Houston it is, yeah.
And it's going to be in the morning as well. Should I be training in the morning more or evening, or does that even matter when it comes
Well,
to
I mean,
being
we talk about
specific?
this all the time, but there's nothing new on race day, right?
Yeah.
So you put yourself in situations you'd be in the race, right? So, I mean, most early runs, most long runs, you do them early Saturday morning, right? Or early Sunday morning, which is kind of around when you be racing, right? And then, maybe your speed work or so. So, I mean, I try to I run at different times of the day, different parts, and it doesn't matter whether it's hot, cold, or whatever. I'm still going to go out and I prefer running outside, right? I'm not a
Yeah.
treadmill guy.
I don't do treadmills.
It's too monotonous for me. But you can get a lot of fitness on a treadmill. Don't get me wrong. But so the elements themselves to me aren't ever a factor. I mean, obviously it sucks if it's 30 degrees outside, right? I think 2 years ago, the Houston Marathon, it was cold. It was I think when we started, it was like right in 32 or 31 degrees. So it was cold.
Was that the year that everybody was wearing all the blankets and
Yeah.
everything? And you had the bunny thing?
Yep.
I'm so mad you got rid of that.
Me too. And even by the end of that race, I had taken stuff off, right? So I had shedded layers, but I was still freaking cold. Right? I was so cold. And so my heart rate was through the roof the whole time because, your heart's trying to warm your body up
Yeah.
type thing, right? But then I've also been in races where, it was stupid hot, just so hot, just miserably hot.
Talking
right?
about you, habanero.
Right. So, both ends of the spectrum, you're gonna experience that sometimes. You're never very rarely are races in a situation where it's perfect. Right? Very rarely does that happen. When it happens, it's awesome. It's really awesome. But it doesn't happen that way usually. I mean, because you're a slave to the elements and to the weather and stuff, right?
So we've talked about, you said for if somebody was training for a marathon, specifically a marathon, you said 4 to 6 months is kind of what you
Well, I
would,
said for a half marathon, 4 to 6 months.
4
for
to
a
6 per
marathon,
half.
I'd say
6, 8.
based on where your fitness level is, based on how you train, right? 6 months is a good place to start because that gives you plenty of time to really ease into it so that it's not daunting.
And that's from a real novice starting level.
Yeah, it's 0.
Okay.
You could literally not have ever ran even a 5K, and I feel like in 6 months you could run a marathon.
So on the other end of that spectrum, from a marathon, what would you say would be the period you'd want to give somebody if they came from a running background? Let's say somebody came from strictly a runner's background, but they wanted to go do a high rocks or a deca or something that was much more strength specific, and they wanted to do very well at it. What would you have a window of training to get ready for that kind of event?
So that's a tough question because not everybody's the same,
It's
right?
true.
And some people are runners, but they they kind of have some mass to them, right? And so that can be part of the challenge is that some of the heavier weights it's harder to push if you're not very heavy,
Yeah.
right? So learning technique or developing the strength to be able to do it so it doesn't break you.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a runner and you've got a runner's background, I don't think high rocks or OCR, obstacle course racing, is that hard to break into, honestly. I think it's an easy transition. But, maybe you break into it the first time as a relay or as a doubles or something like that.
Kind of
Instead
split the
trying to
load.
conquer it by yourself, right? So you just so you don't feel like you got defeated or something. But I think a good 3 months is more than enough
Really?
time.
Yeah, I think I'm 3 months out. I think when I started for this High Rocks, and I don't know if that's enough time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for personally speaking, for me, well, you're right. Actually, you're right. For a doubles or a relay, that is perfect amount of time. But yeah, if I was gonna do solo, not happening.
Yeah.
Especially not when it's 5 weeks from now. That ain't gonna happen.
I mean, the good thing is High Rocks is pretty accessible, right? And I think DECA is too.
Yes.
In that you don't need a bunch of skill sets to be able to do them. So anybody could go and do it right now, right? If you
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
decent aerobic capacity, you could go. I mean, you may be out there for 2 hours.
Yeah, you're not gonna finish
right?
fast.
You may not be fast, but you could finish it and do it, right?
Yeah.
But I'm talking about like excelling and not feeling like you're dying necessarily. I mean, you may still feel like you're dying, but not feeling like you're being defeated out
Yeah.
there, right? And just like struggling through it, right? So
Yeah.
I think there's a difference in like in how you race, right? So, I always make that comparison. There's usually, 3 different people that get to the starting line, right? Person who has no idea if they're going to finish, right?
Yeah.
Or how, are they going to get carted off the course, right? The person who knows that, they're going to get out there, they're going to finish, they have no idea what the time is, they're just hoping it's going to be good. And the other person who has, they know,
Yep.
right? They just don't know how good of a PR they're getting today. And the only
Yeah.
difference is preparation,
Yeah.
right?
See, my issue with High Rocks right now is not if I'm going to finish. It's just the endurance behind it, like the reps. I got to do 100 wall balls.
Yeah.
I got to do.
Well, you don't have to do 100 mobile.
You're
Oh,
doing
yeah, but
Hopefully
like-
just 50.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully
Or
just
just
50.
whatever.
Yeah.
But the sled pulls, I got to do at least 2
Yeah.
as a teammate. If I'm holding my weight at least, and 500 meters on ski, that's a lot of. And then running.
Yeah.
On top
Still
of
gotta
that. So yeah, that's just my issue right now. But I'm training specifically for that.
Yeah.
I believe I am.
You're
Oh.
just doing what I'm doing, so you have no idea.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm just trusting
You're
you.
just copycatting me.
Suckling at that teat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Parasite.
Parasite.
No, I can't stop saying suckling at the teat
Why do you gotta say that?
because
But,
y'all started it.
Periodization. What does that look like? So you were saying earlier how it's like 8 weeks of on and so you switch it up every 8 weeks, or
So think about it like this, all right? So let's say we are training for, we'll say a half marathon since that's what you started with, okay? And let's say we have a 4-month training cycle, okay? So the first 4 weeks or the first training block, we're going to focus on aerobic capacity and aerobic fitness, okay? We're going to work on running easy, developing the ability to run slow. We're going to work on, our form, mobility, all that stuff so that we don't get injured, whatever. So that's week 1 to 4.
And that's,
and that's
just,
also the person trusting you, because a lot of people don't trust like the process of I'm gonna slow down, I'm gonna build my aerobic
Yeah.
base.
Right.
I gotta slow down to speed up.
Right.
So this is actually a trust between you and
Yeah.
the coachee, the
Yeah.
student, and the
Yeah.
coach.
But you would think, most
sucky.
people don't come to a coach unless they've heard about or seen the good things that they've done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Where their athletes have been successful, right? You don't just go and just say, I just need a running coach, and you look up run coach and you just pick the first one.
Yeah, people get fed up though. I mean, people was like, I want to see the
No,
results.
but I'm just saying, like, it should be easier to trust someone like that, right?
Well, it better be if you're paying them as
If you're
well.
paying them and you see that, they've been, they've had some decent successes with their folks.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, yeah, you got the.
So to me, that doesn't make any sense not to trust them, right? But who am I? So I would say the first 4 weeks, right, the first month of training would be specifically developing our aerobic capacity. So week 5 to week 8, right, or week 4 to week 8, whatever, how you want to put it, or I guess week 5 to week 9. I'm sorry. That next month, you're still working on aerobic fitness, right? Because a half marathon is a very aerobic movement. Okay, you're going to be using your aerobic energy system to run that thing. Okay, so that's the foundation. So you're still building aerobic volume, but as now we should be to the place where we can start focusing maybe on doing some strength stuff, dialing in like the, starting to get a concept of what might our goal pace really be, right? And a lot of people already come in with like a goal in mind, right? So we can start maybe doing some fartlek stuff, or you're doing a little speed play or something where you're not doing specific faster paces. You're just doing like 30
5K.
seconds on, 1 minute off, or I'm gonna run for 100 meters really hard, and so you start kind of picking the intensity on one run or so a week up here and there, and then you start getting a concept of what fast running actually is, right? Usually then from week 10 to say week 14, then what we're going to do is we're still developing aerobic capacity, right? It's a bigger volume of it now. And then we're going to start dialing in like actual, either race paces or maybe some threshold efforts, because a half marathon is a aerobic effort, but it's also a threshold effort. Okay, so you're going to be in zone 4 quite a bit. So you need to train that particular energy system. So we're going to spin paces once a week, twice a week, maybe, depending on how much mileage we've reached at that particular effort level, right? And then basically week 16 to week 20, we're basically really dialing in race-specific efforts, right? So on our long run, maybe we're running some race pace efforts. We're the highest amount of volume, right? Because we're doing a 4-month training block, right? Or four training blocks, and then we'll taper the last 2 weeks of the event. So we'll lower the volume, a little bit each week leading up to the race, so that our body can be rested, make sure we're healthy, and then we get another bump in fitness, right? So that's how we would build it. We would start with the foundation, and then the closer we get to the event, the more event-specific activities we would do. So, specificity.
Say it again, Rocky.
No, I'm not
For
going
the
to say
people
it.
in the back?
No. But so what I saw coming into this was it was like a coin. I saw one, you got to do specific training, and the other one's periodization training, but it's not a coin. They coexist.
They do, yeah.
You can do periodization training with
Well, you
specifically
should be
focused
doing
on
very specific movements or activities
towards that.
within the periodization of your training, right? So specificity training really has to do with whatever the discipline is, right?
Yeah.
My freaking microphone thing is all jacked up today.
Yep.
I don't know what's going on. We change these things around and you never get it right again, right? It's going to take weeks.
We're professional, James. Don't tell the people about that.
No, they can see it. They're seeing me over here fiddling with this thing. So, but yeah, so I mean, depending on the event, right, you're going to have to do specific things to get better for it. And if you're not doing specificity training within each periodization cycle, well, you're not going to get good at whatever it is you want to do. Right?
Yeah.
So here's what doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, you tell me this. No, let me rephrase that. No, erase that. Can you bleep that out? What I just said? Just erase it all together.
I won't, but I'll tell you that I will.
Okay, thanks. So let's say I am training for a half or a full marathon. Okay, we've talked about this before. What zones or what energy systems are you going to be utilizing racing in a half and a full marathon?
2 to 3, 3 to 4.
3 to 4.
Are you asking or telling me?
I'm telling
Well,
you,
you're
3
going to
to
be in
4.
your anaerobic
Yep.
threshold.
Anaerobic threshold
not
is gonna be 3
anaerobic,
to 4.
aerobic.
Yeah.
You're going to be doing aerobic, and you said threshold. So zone 3, zone 4.
Yeah.
The majority of it is going to be one of those two. Okay. Obviously, the bigger foundation of aerobic fitness you have, the more time you can spend in there, which means you can go a little bit faster without getting into your threshold.
Yep.
Which also bumps up your overall ability to run faster. Okay. So, if I'm going to go out and train to do those particular movements, what would make sense? What types of specificity training should I do in my speed efforts to get ready for those two? What would make sense to you? What efforts sound like threshold or aerobic efforts? What would be different types of runs or workouts you could do? Just off the top of your head, or just thinking what would make sense?
For a half marathon,
Or a full marathon, either one.
tempo runs for at a 5K pace, 10K pace, at a fast pace for a certain amount of time for 20, 25 minutes.
Are you just saying that because that's what you've been doing?
I was just wondering that.
But that or also fartleks where you're running and then switch it up here and there, or the last mile go fast.
Okay.
So hey, if I'm a long runs, I'm running, let's say 18. I'm at 15 miles right now. Okay, when I get to mile 14, I'm taking off to my marathon, to my race pace that I want to hit at this time, because I want to see how this feels 14 miles in. Can I even do this 14 miles in?
Okay.
I'm going to get there. I'm going to see how that feels.
So longer efforts.
Yep, longer efforts.
Maybe some fast paces at the end of the longer effort or something.
Yep.
Okay. And then some sort of threshold efforts for an extended period of time. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I want to push myself to even know what it feels like to be at this certain level, because that race, I'm going to be at that level no matter what, because I don't want to, like you said, nothing's new on race day.
Right.
So I want to see how it's going to feel on race day.
Okay. What do you think, Lauren? What are some specific workouts you could do for those two events?
For a half and full. I was going to say building the load. So long distances at your zone 2, 3. So easy long runs, really building up just the load so your body can get accustomed to doing the mileage.
Okay. So what would that look like mileage-wise?
So mileage-wise,
So what would a long run look like then for a half or a full?
For a half or full, I would say anything between 10 and 18.
Okay.
And like I said, like
So
a zone 2 or
probably
3.
define each one instead of just saying, because that's a big difference.
Okay. And what do you mean define each one?
Half, full.
Oh, okay. So for half, I would say a long run would be anything from 8 to 10. And for a long run would be anything from, let's say, 13 to 18,
Okay.
if that's better.
15, 18.
15 to 18.
I mean, that was
closer?
a better answer as
Closer.
far as like
I was
helping us
probably wrong.
understand, but no.
Okay, I was wrong.
So, not wrong,
I'll delete hers. but
I
there's
was.
her.
there's a better way.
I am not Coach James. I am not. Do not take
I
this advice from
feel as
me.
though
You're
there's a
Coach
better way,
Lauren.
Okay?
I'm Coach Lauren. I teach children and I teach you how to row.
So, to be specific in those two events, I see people all the time, right? They go to do speed work and they'll do like 4 sets of 100-meter repeats,
Yeah.
right?
That's not long distance
Or
at
they'll
all.
go and do
Yeah,
like
you
2
can't.
sets of 400 meters.
And
right?
that's great for doing that very short amount of time.
If I'm running a 5K, maybe.
That's probably not even long enough for
I was
a
going to say,
5K.
I don't even think that's long enough for
That's
a 5K.
not even enough for a 5K,
Because
right?
he said 4 200s.
So you're not
Yeah, no.
training the energies. First of all, those are very anaerobic movements.
Yeah.
Right? Those are anything shorter than, say, 800 meters is an anaerobic effort. You should be running it fast enough to run an anaerobic effort. Okay? So you shouldn't be running your marathon goal pace for 400 meters, right? You shouldn't be running your marathon goal pace for 200 meters or 100 meters.
That's nothing. Like
That's-
fractionally, that's not even a fraction of it.
No, it's not even close to what you need to be doing.
It's
right?
not going to set you up for
Now,
anything.
a very popular workout for like elites is to do 400, 800, or 1,000 meter or 1,600 or anywhere from 400 to 2,000 meter repeats, okay? But if they're doing like, say, 2,000 meter repeats, they're going to do like maybe 10 of them, right? If they're going to do like, say, 800 meter repeats, they're going to do like 20 of them,
That
right?
sounds
If they're
really
going to do like,
terrible.
say, 400 meter repeats, they're going to do like 15 to 30 of those things.
Yeah, because
okay?
like literally 400 meters is like 1/100th of
Right.
a.
That
So, and then
sounds
not only are they
so-
going to do them,
Ugh.
but they're still, even though they're going to do, 15 sets or 15, 20 sets of them, they're going to do them at a much faster pace than their marathon pace,
Yeah.
right? So understanding that you got to train the energy system you want to be utilizing. So your anaerobic should never be used at all in a marathon. It's not going to be used in a marathon. Like, unless you're an elite level person or something like that, you're not, and even elites, I don't think will get that high, right? Your heart rate's just not going to get that high. So you're just not running that kind of effort because you can't sustain that, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
that energy system's only good for like good 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah,
right?
so for like a marathon and a half, you're really just trying to find a pace that you can sustain
for
that duration.
however long, 2 hours, 3
Yeah.
hours, 4 hours, whatever. The
It's
time
not a
period
sprint.
is, right?
You're not sprinting.
So if that's the case, that means you need to learn how to run for extended periods of time at a certain pace. So that means you need to go and do speed work very similar to that, right? So very traditional speed efforts for a half marathon and for a 10K, and for a marathon are threshold or tempo efforts, right? Where you're running from 15 to 30 minutes consistently at a certain pace. Usually that's a 10K to half marathon pace, right? So if you're running a marathon and you're training for that, you're still running faster than the marathon pace, right? So the closer you get to the marathon, though, you want to start doing more race-specific activities. So that would mean maybe on your long run, you said it, right? Maybe running some race-pace efforts, running your marathon pace for extended periods of time, right? Or maybe going out and doing a progressive run where, maybe on your middle distance run in the middle of the week or something, you're going out and you start like really easy and you progress, for say 3 or 4 miles at marathon pace, and then maybe 2 miles or so at half marathon pace, and then maybe a mile at like 5K pace or 10K pace, right? So you're progressively getting a little bit faster, so that teaches you how to have negative splits, how to control yourself, but then also how to hold a pace, for an extended period of time, even when you don't feel comfortable,
Yeah.
right? So that's where like that whole specific thing comes into play is there's no reason to do something like 400 meter repeats or 200 meter repeats when you're running something like a marathon, okay? So then, like, it's important to have those specific trainings. We're talking about, like, doing an ultra and a high rocks event,
Yeah.
right? And how they're two different, like, ends of the spectrum. You got to train for high rocks. You're going to want to train your lactate threshold and your anaerobic because those are two energy systems you're going to use.
Yep.
Well, for an ultra, you don't want to be getting too high up in your threshold
Yeah.
unless you're like an elite level person, like, Jim Walmsley or something like that. And you're trying to like break records or win races and stuff. 90% of the people doing ultras are just out there to finish it.
We're out there surviving.
Right? So you're usually going to be in zone 2, zone 3 the entire time. So that is really what you need to be really good and efficient at. right? So those are two completely opposite ends of the spectrum. So it's hard to be specific in your training when you're training for those two things, right? So that's why you would do things like periodization training where you can have certain, blocks of, whether it's 8 or 12 weeks of training for one particular event, but then you give yourself enough time in between events so that you can switch the focus to something else, right? And that's another mistake I see a lot of people make is they just like put races one on top of the other, right? They're just like OCR, high rocks, ultra marathon, high rocks, 5K, right? And they're 2 weeks apart or 1 week apart, right? Did this chick talk to you about this weekend?
No, what happened this weekend?
So she just got back.
I just got back from
last
OCR
week
World.
From OCR Worlds.
And
right?
I said,
she
James.
didn't perform as well as she wanted to. And we had this whole talk about, okay, we got to get consistent again. We got to work on the easy stuff. We got to build the volume because High Rocks is just weeks away.
Yeah.
Weeks away.
And
Like
my partner
single.
and my partner and I have we have a pretty lofty goal.
Right? So trying to get like a big PR, right?
Yeah.
And qualify for the World Championships, right?
It's the goal.
So then I get a message from her, hey,
It is. With the
got any
PR
codes
it is.
for
Spartan?
I'm like, why do you need a code for Spartan? She's like, well, I thought we talked about that. And I was like, no, we didn't. You never even mentioned. We just literally had met the day before. She didn't even bring the word Spartan out of her mouth.
I thought I did.
You didn't say nothing about that dang race.
Sometimes I think I say things to you because I say them in my head, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I said it. He knows. Or here's, I think, part of it. I think in my head, like James knows there's a Spartan coming because he knows I'm going to want to do that, right?
I know you want to do everything.
Shaking
But that doesn't mean
my
you should
head.
be doing it, right? So I was like, does that really line up with your goals for High Rocks? Crickets.
I don't think it responded.
Not even.
Crickets.
We got an example we got to keep here on the Running with James podcast, Lauren.
No. Lauren is definitely like, do as I say, not as I do. She's not living that life by example. She doesn't want you.
Yeah, I want you to learn from my mistakes that I constantly keep making.
Yeah.
That we constantly talk about on this podcast.
Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
learn from my
She's
mistakes.
like, use me as your example of what not to
Yeah.
do.
I think it's every month, at least one time on the podcast, we talk about how she's overdoing it and
Yeah.
she's signing up for events
Yeah.
20 times.
Someone's got to
Every
be a
other
living
week.
example of what you're talking about.
No.
But you're
no,
you're
no.
not even it's not even about you. It's about Laura. It's like you're almost letting
So
her down
here's
at this
the- here's
point.
the
Oh,
part.
don't do that to me.
So the next
oh
day,
my gosh.
we were in class, leg day. And I was like, hey, girl, what's up? Laura came in to do her workout or whatever. I was like, met with Lauren last night. We had our meeting or whatever. She's like, oh, okay, yeah, she told me y'all met. I was like, she tell you she wants to go do the Spartan race? She's like, huh? I was like, yeah, she wants to do the Spartan race next weekend. She's like, okay. And I was like,
I
and I'm
haven't
pretty sure the
committed.
race she wants to do is on Sunday. She's like, isn't that when we do our Sunday track day that we only have 4 of left? So does that mean she's not going to be at the track? And I was like, I'm pretty sure she's not, even though y'all were just complaining and
I haven't
talking about how
committed.
y'all were out of sync because you weren't able to work out enough together.
Yeah.
Right? So she was like, oh, okay. And you know how she's Midwestern.
She's so sweet.
She's so
and
nice and easygoing, and she's not going to rock the boat. She's not going to be whatever. And I'm like, you need to get on her. I was like, she's not going to listen to me anymore. But if you encourage her, she'll probably listen to you.
He
you
does
know?
tell her all the time, like, Laura, I need you to keep her in line and be a good example.
Yeah. So I'm just like,
I didn't commit to anything.
so
I
this is what I
haven't
told
done
her.
any
I was like,
thing.
I'll tell you what she's doing. And this is a mistake a lot of people make. This is what in my mind,
Tell him.
I think she's doing.
Tell
Me?
him.
Mishi?
Yeah.
Mishi, okay.
There's this race coming up. She wants to go to this race because she didn't perform as well as she did at the OCR World Championships. And she's going to use this race as a way to build her confidence because she feels like she can do much better at this race. And it's going to help her feel better so that when she goes into the next race, she can perform better based off of her own personal feelings. How close am I? You can, like, from a scale of 1 to 10, am I a 1? Like, I'm not even close? Or I'm like a 15?
I'd say we set the house on fire.
Exactly.
Well, I think you really got to remember what your goal is.
I know.
And remember, like, that's kind of what I'm dealing with, too, is like you have a partner, too. It's not about
And
you.
And like I said, I never committed to any of it. I never committed to anything because I did think about that. And I thought, and Laura and I talked, and I did have to tell myself, okay, you told yourself you weren't going to do the world's toughest because you wanted to make sure you felt the best you could feel. And I've been having that conversation with myself again. So I have not committed to anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's Thursday.
I got to
And
work
I
out
know.
with my partner. It's always at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the PM workouts.
Y'all should compromise. Like you should do some 5 a.m.s with him, and he should do some later in the day for you. Like, I mean, that's what a
I
partnership
thought you
is.
liked the 5 a.m.s though.
I did like for running, but like we gotta do hard workouts too. We gotta do
Oh,
other
for your
stuff.
But
hard
that's what I'm saying.
workouts,
Like
okay.
maybe 3 days out of the week, right? Or let's say if you work out 4 times a week together, or run 4 times, whatever it is. If you're doing 4 things together, maybe 2 you do it around his time schedule, 2 you do it around yours.
Yeah, right.
That's
And-
what compromise is.
That's what
that's
Laura
what
and I do.
that's what a partnership is. We talked about before when you're talking about your significant other,
Yeah.
right? You're talking about like coming together as one.
Speaking of my significant other,
Get him to submit.
let me tell you about this car drive we had today.
Oh boy.
I was freestyling in the car.
Oh yeah.
Oh, were you?
And I was having fun. I was joking
Yeah.
very, very much.
You must have said something inappropriate and
Oh,
stupid.
yeah. She's sitting behind me watching the baby. And I was like, she needs to get a new hobby other than getting on to me. Immediately, the hand comes back and pulls whatever I got right here, this back, and then yanks it
Yeah.
straight back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're driving.
Hey man,
I mean, you set yourself up for that
yeah.
one.
that was your fault. That's why she ain't submitting.
Yeah, but it's awesome. I think we have our car rides are probably the most funnest times I have right now. 'Cause
Yeah.
we never get to play.
What about for her? What's her funnest times?
Hanging out, car ride, because we talk. It's usually when we talk, and I was
Okay.
like, I'm a freestyle right now, real quick for a little bit, because she hasn't got on to me in a while, so I just had to.
So you had to like get her to get onto you?
He had to give her something.
Oh, just because we were talking, it was like we were listening to this album, and the dude was like, "A girl needs to get a new hobby other than texting me." I was like, "Oh, that's kind of funny." And then I was like, "This girl needs to get a new hobby other than getting on to me."
Yeah.
She yanked my hair back. I was like, "I'm kidding." Funny times.
Good
Fun
times.
That reminds me of, I saw a meme where it was like this couple and they're like, things have been going really smooth. Like, yeah, it's weird. We haven't fought over anything in a while. He's like, yeah, should we spice it up? He's like, yeah, what's been annoying you? She's like, well, and then they just like initiate a fight over nothing just to spice it up.
That's not good.
And that's what you basically just
That's
said.
not good at all.
You just had to like mix it up.
Just got to instigate
Well,
some
she's
stuff.
she's my best friend, so I gotta.
It's
All the
good.
people who are close to me, I gotta give a hard time. I don't know what it is about me.
You wanna be with your best friend.
Yeah, but what I don't understand is like you do that, but then when people do it to you, you get your feelings hurt.
I
too
do not
easily.
get my feelings
Yeah,
hurt.
you do, bro.
You know how many times I get dogged on a daily? I
Dude,
can
Welcome
take
to
it.
my
You
life.
are sensitive.
Yeah, but
You are sensitive.
I'm jokingly sensitive. I'm like, oh, you're gonna do me like that? And I
No,
don't really
you
care.
are really sensitive. I mean, you've gotten better, but like there were moments where like we get onto you or give you a hard time, and I wouldn't hear from you for like weeks.
No, that wouldn't give me a hard time. You were convicting me with the truth.
No,
that's
I do that
different.
too. But no, sometimes I'll be like kind of capping on you because kids like that too. He's super sensitive too, right? Ever since we went to
Kid's more sensitive than I
like,
think he likes
that
to let
one
on.
trip or
Kid,
whatever,
we're talking about you.
like,
Yeah, we had a talk yesterday. He was like, one time I cried in front of James, and he just sat there, didn't know what to do.
Oh.
what do you mean I didn't know what to do? What does he want me to do? You want me to hug him?
That's basically what he was like.
He
He's
wanted
like,
me to hug
He
him?
didn't console me at all. I was like,
You didn't hug him.
was like,
I didn't see him. I don't ever remember seeing that dude cry. When was he crying?
we'll talk about it after the podcast.
No, I mean, you brought it
mean-
up.
No, we can't talk about his personal issues around
No, he don't listen to the podcast. It's okay.
some girl that he liked.
Yeah.
Didn't
That's
like him
probably
back.
why I didn't console him because he probably had no business being with the girl,
Yeah.
right? I think sometimes people think that I'm very, what's the word?
That was my answer though. I was like, he probably had something other than that. He thought it was pointless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People think I'm like not cold-hearted, but like
You just speak the truth
not
sometimes.
maybe not sensitive enough to people, right? Like it's hard sometimes because I mean, let's
You
be
don't
honest.
really sugar like
You
just
don't
based
tickle
off-
people's ears.
You don't
There you go.
sugarcoat things in a way that like you're gonna be honest because you care.
That's right.
You're going to be very honest with somebody
That's
because
right.
you don't want to lead them into like a false sense of like.
I don't just say stuff to make you feel better.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to do
You
that.
deliver hard
I
truths.
refuse to tell you something to tickle your ears to make you feel better because
I've
I feel
never
like
heard
that
that.
does you a disservice, right? And sometimes it's hard hearing the truth. Like the truth is offensive, like very much so. It can be very, very, very offensive. And it's because you already know the truth.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
And
it's
so
hard
when
to hear.
somebody reminds you of it, it's like, I didn't need you telling me.
Yeah.
I hate giving people the truth. That's why I hate giving people the truth sometimes because they can't handle it and then they get on to me because I spoke the truth and it's like,
Yeah, because it's like they get mad at you.
yeah, they get me
right?
like it's my fault. Like I'm like attacking them when really it's like, no, I'm just telling you the
Right.
truth. Saying how it is.
I'm
like,
the worst.
But like
don't-
if you're let's say you're like actually I think you're a perfect example because we used to talk about some lady problems or lady
yeah,
struggles.
and that's why I dipped. I was like, I don't want to hear it right now.
Yeah,
man.
you don't want to hear the truth.
Yeah, I didn't wanna
right?
hear it.
And I'm just like, and I'm not like being mean. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just like, I care about people, or I care about, and I'm not trying to tell you, like, and I think some people are like, oh, well, you're just trying to be the boss. You just think your way's the only right way. And it's not that. It's that, like, I've been through certain experiences, right? I've had struggles, I've had challenges, and I've made mistakes, and those mistakes created havoc in my life, or struggles, or what have you. And I would prefer other people not to have to go through that, right?
Yeah.
So I think that if you're honest with people and you can kind of share that testimony, that experience, right? I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with showing emotion. I don't think there's anything wrong with, like, being vulnerable. And, you know, I mean, I'm a man, and I'm a very, like, strong, capable, like, I wouldn't say I'm an alpha man, but like I'm not running or whatever, but, like, I'm not afraid of things, right? I'm not afraid of people. I'm not afraid of confrontation. Some people probably think I enjoy confrontation.
I would say that sometimes it seems like you like to ruffle.
I
things
avoid
a little bit.
confrontation as much as I possibly can. But people are doing everything they can to confront me. And it is
we, like,
everything I have
hit some
inside of
personal
me
demons here.
to keep my stuff together sometimes.
Yeah.
So y'all talking about the resting annoyed face. That's that face. That's the face of me holding back what's really inside that I want to say. You know what I mean? I cry all the time. All the time. I'm a very emotional person. Like, sitting there
Same.
watching a show with my daughter the other day, and I started tearing up. It was like a daddy.
Don't say Bluey.
No, it wasn't.
Oh,
but it was like,
Bluey. I
it was
love
like,
Bluey.
actually, it's stupid. Okay.
What was it? What were
Don't
y'all
judge
watching?
me.
What were we watching?
But it was a movie, Real Steel,
Real
Hugh Jackman.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
With the
boxing-
With the
yeah.
robots.
The boxing robots. And so we were
Yeah.
watching it, and at the end, right, there's this scene, and him and his son, right, and they have this dad moment together. I cried. I thought it was the dumbest freaking movie. I enjoyed that movie. It was kind of dumb, right? It was like whatever, but I cried, like tears literally coming down my face. I was watching something else with my daughter. It was a dang cartoon, bro.
Oh, I
A
cried every cartoon.
Cartoon.
Cried all.
And yeah, what was the Storks one? I think it was.
Yeah, that's a good one
The
too.
Storks with the little girl,
the
right? and
baby.
getting delivered to the.
Was it with the wolves?
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Yeah.
That's the one. So I get emotional in worship. There's not a worship service like at church when we're singing it. There's very few worship services where I'm not like
Man, that was me last week here at church.
Say what?
That was me all last week here
just
at church.
misty eyed, bro. Just like I'll look ugly sometimes. Like I've been ugly crying. Like my eyes are all red and whatever. So there's nothing wrong. I don't believe in I don't think you should hide your emotions. But like if you're gonna cry about something, cry about it. But understand that it's not my thing to cry about, and I'm not gonna cry with you, especially if I don't agree with it, right? And if you need a hug, I'll give you a hug. But let me know, because y'all know I'm not a hugger.
You're not a hugger.
You know that's not my thing, right? You know, like I don't want people up in my spatial bubble.
I think I've literally gotten 2 hugs from you.
I don't think
if
I've
that.
ever.
And you feel lucky, bro.
Yeah.
Were they real hugs or side hugs?
No, straight up.
Oh, I've only gotten a side hug from you. One side hug. One.
If you need a hug, just be like, hey, I could really use a hug right now. And I'm like, okay.
I
come here.
always need a hug.
Yeah, when you gave Steady a hug one time, I was like, you're lucky. That didn't happen.
I like Seti.
You know what his hugs are like? They're like, oh, you probably don't watch it. Paula Hollywood, his handshakes and Great British Bake Off. You covet them. You wait for it.
No, I don't know what
And we got off the rails now, 104.
It's okay. Who cares? It's our
Yeah.
podcast. We can do what we want.
Right.
But I was gonna say, as far as like the kind of delivering the harsh truth that people don't want to hear, you kind of notorious for that with your race plans when you meet with your athletes.
I'm notorious, man.
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
no, I don't mean that in a bad way.
Notorious.
I don't mean it in a bad way. I meant like, because we always joke about like someone always gets emotional, but because you kind of always bring light to the truth of like, have you been consistent? What's been going on? Is it your fault
Yeah.
that you haven't been following through? Not that you're not mean, but you do try to you hold your athletes accountable for where they're at.
Sure.
And that's what I mean by like delivering the hard
I know this
truths.
chick sent me a video or something of some guy, and he was like, he had posted about a meeting that he had with one of his clients.
Oh yeah, he was real brutal.
He was brutal
He was
with
very
them.
brutal.
He's like, tell me, what do you want? Do you want your goals or do you want to quit or
Yeah.
something like that?
It was
he was
very
like cussing
brutal.
this lady out or guy or whoever
Well,
it
he
was.
wasn't cussing her out, but he was using
He
very
used curse words.
He was using very
I wonder if
explicit
their,
language.
like, their childhood was like that too. So now they're getting
Number
it from
one,
their
I'm pretty
coach.
sure that was a staged event. He may talk to his clients like that, but he didn't record that.
No.
Yeah, he probably got permission.
No,
Yeah.
most of the things like that are recorded.
Yeah, that was
or
was
fake.
staged.
Yeah,
But he may talk to him. But like that's unnecessary to talk to people like that. Right? You don't have to do whatever. You don't have to treat them like they're a child, right? But like I think you need to be honest with them, right? You don't just coddle them. Just like I don't know. I think people just expect you to just like give them.
Yeah, Tiger, we'll get him next time. Participation award.
Hey, good job, guys. Let me just give you a pat on your tushy, and you can keep going forward.
Thanks, Rox. I need.
No,
I
ain't
needed
got all that. You ain't got time for all that, man. Stand
that's
up,
me.
wipe some dirt on it, and keep going, man.
That's
You need to put
me.
some dirt on your
I
knee?
need to relax.
Get.
I need to start being more harsh. I'm too.
No,
I'm
you're,
definitely that.
I don't know what to tell you.
I
like
hug
the-
every.
I tickle
I
ears.
believe a hug will cure so many things.
Yeah,
I
that's not
tickle
true.
so many ears.
I've never heard that saying.
Tickle the ears?
No.
Really?
Yeah, I did it a lot.
Yeah, you just tell people what they want to hear or something that sounds
But
good.
you're only
Tickle the
setting them up.
ears.
And you're setting them up for failure.
Yeah, because I
Right?
did that a lot. Oh, I mean, I do.
I mean, I could tell you right now, hey, girl, you're great. You're amazing. You've been doing everything you need to do. And you're going to go out and you're going to do a great thing at this race. And then when you go out and you don't do as well as you thought you were going to do, you're going to go back, I don't know what happened. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what happened either. You're amazing. I mean, you're a strong, independent woman. You can do everything. You can do anything you put your mind to, right? So let's just go out next time and let's just put our mind to it.
Nice, sound
a
like
little
me.
stronger, right? And then you go out there and you fail again and you're like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why I'm failing. I was like, girl, I don't know. It's just like, you're doing all the things, right? You're doing all the things you should be doing, right? Well, I could be a little more consistent.
This has never
you know?
been how an actual meeting with James
No.
goes ever.
Because I'm going to tell you why you didn't do.
He's gonna pull up the data.
I mean,
We're
like,
gonna
let's-
look at the data.
And here's what I do.
Data don't lie.
I just tell you to pull up the data. I was like, why don't we look at your
Yeah.
Garmin?
And then there's always the
Like,
hesitation.
oh, okay. So what was your weekly mileage the last 4 weeks? Yeah, okay. Well, I just do what you tell me to do, James. I just do what's on the plan. Okay, well, that's fine. That's cool. Let's just, what's your Garmin say? Oh, 15 miles? You average 15 miles a week? What was your long run? 12 miles? You average 15 miles a week, but you had a 12-mile long run. Oh, wow. Okay. I think the plan said you were supposed to run like 30 miles for the week. You're supposed to do a 9-mile long run? Are you sure you were doing what I prescribed for you to do?
Does your voice get high like that too?
Sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of played aloof. I kind of try to let you tell. I basically like to let you set yourself up for me to come in and be like, I done told you, you blankety blank. No, I'm just kidding. I don't use curse words, so.
I
But-
would like you to just once say blankety blank, like actually
Blank, blank,
blank, and
beep,
let
beep.
them fill it
Let
in
them
in
fill
the
it in their
head.
head.
Beep
Yeah.
and beep and beep.
And you would not believe what he said to me.
Yeah, you wouldn't. Yeah, that's exactly why I wouldn't do that, because y'all would be making up all kinds of stuff. So, so I think when we're talking about like training in general, you have to be very honest with yourself, okay, which can be hard sometimes for people, but you have to realize that if you want something big, you're gonna have to do something big to get there.
Yeah.
Right? You're gonna have to put in a lot of work for it. That includes periodization, specificity, all that good stuff, right? Doing the nutrition, getting the sleep, doing all that other stuff, right? If you want to go out and have fun, I still think you need to do the little
I
things.
mean, you don't
and
want
I
to end
still-
up hurting at the
You
end.
don't want to get injured. You don't want to hurt yourself, right? But the expectation level is lower because the goal is lower, right? Because the end game is lower. But the higher you set your sights, well, that means the higher you have to climb. That means each and every week and each and every day, the effort has to be a little bit different. And if you plan it out properly, and if you do have an actual like calendar that you're following, it really is not. It's not. It doesn't have to be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because you ease into it as a little bit. 10% is nothing, right? 10%. If I add 10% every single week, if I'm running 10 miles, that means I'm only adding 1 mile.
Mm-hmm.
I could add a quarter mile to every run. I could add a half mile to 2 runs. I could add 1 mile to one run, right? But before you know it, within 8 weeks, that means I'm running 8 more miles a week, right? Within 12 weeks, I'm running 12 more miles a week, right? I can double or triple what I was doing. So it will not take very long, and it makes it very manageable, and your body has the time for the adaptations, your energy systems, and all that stuff. And then you get to the event, you get to your race, and you come back and you perform to usually what I find, you exceed your expectation, right? So when I coach people to help them exceed their expectation, not just get to, whatever their goal is. I had a meeting actually with a guy today, and he's doing a race. And this weekend he's run the Spartan race.
Okay.
And, he ran it last year, and he improved like 20 minutes. He did the beast, and he got 20 minutes faster last year. I wasn't coaching him. He was just listening to the podcast and trying to pick up some of the things, right? And so this year I started coaching him, right? And he did, I think he's done 3 races, or this will be his 3rd race, I think. He did the sprint, got a 20-minute PR on the sprint, right? So he got a 20-minute PR on the beast last time. This year he got a 20-minute PR on the sprint, right? Which is a much shorter race.
Wait, 20 minutes from the podcast, and then 20 minutes from actual coaching?
Right.
Yeesh.
Then he did the super. He got almost an hour PR on the super.
Nice. Good for
Okay.
him.
So that's awesome. So as we were approaching the beast, which was his A race, you know, he had this number set in his mind, which was about an hour faster than when he's ever ran it. Well, as we approach and we're getting closer and his fitness is improving and he's been super consistent and he's doing all the work, like I'm dropping in his ear, hey man, I don't think you're challenging yourself enough. I think you can do that in your sleep, right? And so I think I'm planting these seeds in his head, and he's like thinking, maybe I can, right? So we had our meeting today, and I was like, so okay, what's the goal? So he told me the goal, and I was like, all right, is that A, B, or C goal? He's like, well, I think that should be the B goal. And I was like, what's the A goal? And he told me the A goal. I was like, all right, man, I think you got this. That's no problem. And then we kept talking. We were talking about pacing and how we're going to do it. And then I was like, now I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I'm going to be straightforward with you. I believe you can go faster than that. Like, I think you can do a sub, this number. But I also don't want to tell you that. You don't believe you can do it. You go out and try it. You blow yourself up, and you ruin your race.
Yeah.
So I would rather you be a little more conservative, and then at the end be like, man, I could have gone faster.
Yeah.
Build your confidence, and the next time you go out and go for it.
Yeah.
Right? So based on who you are and based on your experience and how many times we've been able to be successful will depend on like how much I'm willing to try to challenge you.
Yeah.
In your events and stuff. So
like you said, you don't want to set somebody up for, not to say failure, but
right, because I can
disappointment.
believe you can do it all day long.
Yeah.
But if you don't think you can do it,
You're always going to be thinking about that when you're racing.
right. And then I don't want to fail you, right? So,
Yeah.
But there's no doubt in my mind he's going to crush it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he has done everything he's supposed to do. He's done all the little things. He focused on the nutrition. He's doing all the right things, even when he didn't feel like doing it. He was telling me that he had a speed effort the other day, and he said it was his peak week.
Yeah.
Right. So most mileage. It's basically the end of the training block, and he's like, yeah, man, my legs were just heavy, and my body just felt tired. And I got out there and I did my warm up, and I did not feel any better after the warm up, and I didn't want to do it. And I thought, you know what, I could just go out here and just finish my run, and then maybe I'll do my speed work tomorrow. He's like, nope, I'm supposed to do it today. So I started it, and it was tough, man. It was so hard, but I finished it, and I hit the paces and everything else. And I was like, you know what? That is probably, of all the training you've done, that was the biggest win you've gotten.
Yeah. Pushing
Because
through that crappy feeling.
On race day, you may not feel great.
Yeah.
On race day, the weather may not be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
On race day, there's any number of things that are going to happen, but you don't get to say, hey, can we wait this for tomorrow?
Yeah.
Right? The weather's going to be better tomorrow. I might feel a little better tomorrow. That doesn't happen.
No.
So going out there and overcoming, that moment, because that's when it was supposed to be, was awesome. Now, there's nothing wrong if you need to if you were to do that, is it the end of the world? Not necessarily, but it's a bigger win, in my opinion, by him going out and doing it than not doing it.
You feel very accomplished when you show up to something, especially training, and you don't feel good, and you still manage to, like you said, hit the paces.
Especially if you're successful, yeah.
Yeah, if it's a successful training day and you really were not feeling up to it,
Yeah.
that is a big win, and it really locks in your head that you can get through the tough moments, because the mental aspect is such a huge aspect of race day.
It is.
It's a massive part of it.
It is. And that's what I think a big part of like doing the periodization training does, is it helps to slowly but surely like hone your mental capacity and your ability to, like get really good at overcoming those obstacles.
Yeah.
Right. So, it's like week one, you only do we'll use tempo run because we seem to be talking about that a lot lately, but like week one, you do 15 minutes, right? Week three, you're at 20 minutes or 25 minutes. Well, it's a lot easier to do 20 minutes when you've already done 15.
Yeah.
Because hey, I did 15 last week. It's only 5 more minutes, right?
Yeah.
So the mental aspect of it gets easier and easier as you build because you've already done it, right? It's easier to run 30 miles when you've already ran 27, right? It's easier to run 50 miles when you've already done 45, right? Or 40 several weeks in a row. So it just makes it much more manageable when you build up slowly, right? I see plans where people go from like 10 miles in 1 week with a 4-mile long run. Within 2 weeks, they're at 10 miles on a long run, right? It's like ridiculous. I don't know. Some of these plans, I don't even understand them, right? So getting that, learning that, and doing that, I think, is a big part. And that's why I think doing the specificity training, having periods of moments when you're building and coming back down are really important.
Let them know, James. Let them know.
Yep. I'll let them know.
That's what I'm talking about. Hit him with that.
Nice. Any rock, what's it called?
Rambles.
Rock rambles?
Do you have any
Rambling
Rocky Dog rambles?
Rocky Dog rambles?
Rocky Dog. I got a little something.
Some. Is it going to use the word specificity?
Nope.
Nope.
It'd be cool if you did like a freestyle and used the word specificity.
Like correctly.
Be
Like you
I'm
actually
coming
said it.
in the house with my training plan. Got this specificity all up in my hand.
Oh, see there, he just did it for you.
That was pretty good.
You got to top that now.
I mean, it would be better if you rhymed specificity with like
Simplicity,
electricity.
Ooh.
serendipity.
Ooh.
Other
He's
words-
thinking hard right now. All right,
I'm
go
not
ahead.
thinking hard.
Give us your thing.
Specificity.
Specificity.
Yeah, it would help if you learned how to say the word.
Specificity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Specificity.
You can make like a Mary Poppins song. You can make it
Specificity
spec.
got me sounding like
Specificity
duplicity.
is the remedy to make it across these finish lines. Oops, I meant finish lines. Sorry, I know that was kind of a crime, not rhyming, but I'm trying to do this like all the time. I'm spying on the ways to get these games. I'm trying to get it, you know what I'm saying? I'm out here running with James. I'm just chilling on the cool with the couch. I got nothing.
you were doing good.
You were actually doing
You're
really good. I was
No.
really impressed.
No.
You're doing good.
Truth hurts, people. The truth hurts. Get over yourself if it does, though, because from personal experience, I've left the running with James for a while.
The running with James.
Yeah, I left
Now
running
a
with
noun.
James
It's a noun. It's a movement.
because of the
It's a
truth.
personal noun.
But what is you gotta, when you hear the truth, why do you take offense to it? Is it because it's convicting you and telling you to call for change? It's this person and calling you. It's a real friend. A real friend is one who calls you out in your actions, one who calls you out and tells you, hey, you're not doing that right, buddy. Hey, that's not the way to go, buddy. And so the truth hurts. And if you keep lying to yourself, you're just going to crash. It's like driving with looking in the rearview mirror. That's what a lie is. You're just going to keep driving until you crash. So don't do that. Take that. Listen to what they're saying. Don't get offended. Say thank you. Maybe not respond immediately because you're going to respond off emotions.
Maybe.
I waited 2 years to respond to James, and my response was an apology saying you were right.
I don't remember getting an apology.
Well, I definitely said you were right.
I don't remember that either.
Because you don't
I
want
mean,
to.
you just said it now, but
Yeah, truth hurts.
yeah, but I don't remember getting an apology. And I
So-
didn't ask for one.
Maybe pride. You put your pride to the side. That's the one thing you also got to
It's
do.
hard, man.
You got to put your pride to the side.
Little guys are really prideful too because they got that little man syndrome. So it's hard sometimes for the little guys.
Truth hurts.
Yeah.
You just had to keep digging. You just had to dig at him. He was like bearing his soul, and James was like, "Yeah, while we're here,
Yeah, right.
That's what he does to me.
That is what I do, literally on a daily basis.
it's like Caesar and Brutus."
Et tu, Brute?
Mm-hmm.
Public school didn't fail you there. You knew that one.
But no, when someone hits you with that truth, take it. And then especially if you're in an argument and they're hitting you with the truth, what are you arguing for? Are you arguing for the peace or are you arguing to be right? Sometimes we're not always right.
Amen.
I know I'm always right, but yeah, but take it. Ponder on it, pray on it, and then truly, I mean, if you understand, if you hear the truth, you're listening to it, I mean, try to make that change.
Yeah.
And there we go. Good job. Oh, that last part cut out. Dang, they missed it.
Yeah.
They missed
the
that
microphones, man.
gold-
Microphone.
So
that
that was
golden
when we move
piece of
stuff
advice.
around.
Yeah.
Sometimes the stuff doesn't always flow.
Yeah, that moment of silence might get them, though.
Yeah. You think so?
Yeah, they might
can
find-
they can put in there something they think is inspirational.
Yeah, exactly. They can put on the truth that they know they've been hearing a lot lately about themselves.
Insert here.
Amen.
Yeah, insert your own truth and then take action.
Yeah.
Don't
that's
just sit on
bullcrap.
it.
Don't even bring that bullcrap in my house.
Yeah.
Insert your own truth. No.
Yeah, we know
ain't even-
James
don't even
loves
freaking get me
that.
started with that bull.
James
Live your
loves
truth.
that.
No.
Live your truth.
No. You bleep that bull out. No. There's truth and there's not truth. There's no
Live
living your
the
own
truth, not
No.
your truth.
No.
I think I'm saying that all the time, and it's just like you can see his. I don't think his eyes can roll any further back in his head whenever I say
I
it.
try not to roll my eyes. It's just you probably see my jaw clenching, grinding my
Under the
teeth
beard.
to like non-existence. So, all right, guys. Well, I mean, this has been something. There's a lot going on here today.
There's a
Yeah,
lot.
we had
A lot
a
of stuff. So, thanks for coming in, guys. If you reach out to one of us for coaching or anything like that, understand we're going to give you the truth and nothing but the truth. If you need a hug, you better ask for one. You're probably not going to get one.
You come get it from me.
Get it from Lauren.
I give great hugs.
She loves hugging people.
I'm all about the hugs. I'm a hugger.
I mean, I'm a married man, right?
yeah. So can't be just hugging anybody.
So I'm down with the side hug. I'll give you a little hip action. The full frontal, it's really uncomfortable for me.
little
Got it, same here.
intimate.
I stay with the side hug.
It's
Oh
very
man,
intimate.
I'm all about that full
I'm all
get
about
in
the
here
side.
hug.
Like
Yeah, especially because remember
You're married.
I'm married, right? And make that
Well, to me, it's more like
chest-to-chest contact.
it's not even. It's just like I'm giving you my full frontal. That's hard because like it's like
I'm
opening
vulnerable.
up. It's vulnerable. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a very vulnerable spot.
It is. You could kick me.
Exactly. You keep me in the throat.
You could come up underneath me.
Y'all know how Houdini died. A punch to the gut.
That's it, right? You could shake me right
Yeah.
underneath
Wait,
here.
is that true?
Yeah.
I mean,
I didn't know that.
I'm just saying it's a vulnerable thing. But side hug, we can be appropriate,
Yeah.
right? We don't have to worry about touching stuff we shouldn't be
And
touching.
come through with the left,
Yeah.
like Rocky.
I mean, now if it's my dude, I come up, I give him the handshake, I come in, give him that bam.
You give Tommy butt smacks.
Okay, I don't understand.
I would say, but you'll give butt smacks, but not hugs.
To
a dude.
a guy.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's true. It is a guy.
He came. He's going out here butt smacking.
Yeah, oh my God. One
Again.
time I accidentally smacked this chick on the butt.
Oh, I
Because
remember telling you.
She was
to think
wearing
about
my wife's hoodie.
I
And we were going out to a
Nice.
restaurant, and she was in front of me. And I just like hauled off and just cheeked that sucker. And she turned around and looked at me, and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Did you go
I'm
wash
so
your
sorry."
hand?
And she smiled. I was like,
that. You enjoyed that too much.
I was like, okay, all right.
Oh man.
And Leah saw me.
She probably thought it was hilarious.
She knew exactly what happened. She knew what happened altogether. She's like, maybe you're gonna stop smacking me then.
Were you like,
public.
And I was
no?
like, no, I'm just gonna make sure it's you next time. So yeah, I was mortified. I was so mortified. I was like, oh my God. And her husband was standing right there too. He didn't even say anything.
He probably thought it was hilarious.
I was like, oh my God. I was so embarrassed.
I'm sure your face was
I was so embarrassed.
all the reward they needed.
The white part came out in you.
I was very embarrassed. Yeah, my face was purple. I was so embarrassed. So
Like I said, if you need a hug,
that's
you,
why I
you
just
see
stick
me.
to male butts.
Yeah.
Right? I get them cheeks. If I'm coming up from behind you, it's gonna happen.
Lift and spread.
Oh my gosh, that's exactly what I'm looking for.
Oh man.
So, all right. Well, guys, thanks for
On
coming
that.
in. I apologize for all of this bullcrap. We
We've
appreciate
covered-
you coming in.
We've covered
No, we don't need to say it.
titties
again.
Yeah,
and we've
okay,
covered
calm
booties.
down.
Yeah.
The
double B's.
it's oh God. I'm just gonna end it because you people are y'all children? How old are you people?
you
You're
can-
the one who was laughing about the sucker and the sucky earlier. Who's
I will
the
tell you when we
child?
go to the bleachers, the only thing that gets me to the top is the very last bleacher.
Double D.
Is double D.
Who's the child?
Why do I remember that? That's
Wait.
so sad.
The fact that you both noticed that is impressive. The
Oh
fact
man.
that both of y'all
I'm sorry,
noticed that.
people. I'm stupid.
That's
need
why I just
Jesus.
stop at the double A.
I'm double. Oh my God.
See, y'all can make a joke, but I can't. Okay, fine. Anyway,
It's awkward when you make it. That's
Oh,
the
I
problem.
get it
Why does
now.
it look-
I
Yes.
thought you actually
No, I
would
got it
stop at the
immediately.
double. I didn't
I
get
got
it
it immediately.
I didn't
I
get it
knew
immediately.
exactly.
I was still thinking of bleachers.
But like, I don't even. Is there a double A on the?
yeah.
Yeah,
Because
it's
it was A, A, B, B,
I
I don't ever
C,
pay
C,
attention
D,
to
D.
it.
You apparently pay attention to that last one.
That was the joke.
Oh.
I'm sorry, people. I'm
Oh,
stupid.
See, I didn't get that joke.
I didn't even get it. All right, we're stupid. I'm sorry.
If you could change your mind.
Yeah, I feel like you can change. We need to change our minds in here and change our
Yeah.
life. And we're not even going to tell you to rate the podcast today. Just listen to it. You probably are not
Go
listening
giggle.
anymore.
Go giggle.
Please come back next week. We have a special guest. It'll be better, I promise. We love you.
Peace.
Peace.